Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya as-salam. Hayya as-salam. Hayya al-falah. Hayya al-falah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah الذي خلق الإنسان في أحسن تقويم وبعث نبيين مبشرين ومنذرين وأنزل معهم الكتاب بالحق يرشد الناس إلى سبيل الهدى ويخرجهم من الظلمات إلى النور. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن سيدنا محمد عبده ورسوله أما بعد. فيا عباد الله وأوصيكم النصر أولا بتقوى الله تعالى وطاعته. That is to say, dear believers, all praise, all majesty, all exaltation due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Most High, who created us fi ahsani taqweem, in the best mold and structure, created us in excellence. But he knew that even though he created us in this excellent mold and gave us this ability to not only look pleasing to each other, to not only be able to build skyscrapers to the skies and send satellites into orbit and make phones that have more digital computing power than the first space shuttle that ever landed on the moon. Not only did he create us with all of this amazing potential, but he knew that sometimes that we would forget, sometimes that we would lose our way, sometimes that we would do things that we weren't supposed to do. So he sent prophets as bringers of good news of warning, good news of the Jannah for those who believe and work righteous deeds and who work at being good, who work at being offering something better for humanity. They're trying to be pleasing to their neighbor, trying to protect not only their children, but other people's children. But also a warning of Jahannam, the fire whose fuel is men and stones, for those who are just haughty and arrogant and only think about myself. It's always I, me, who always want to push somebody else down in order for themselves to advance. The warning for them is the fire whose fuel is men and stones, Jahannam. That they will one day be held accountable for all of the things that they did. And so, my dear brothers and sisters, and he also sent to us scripture to bring us out of the darkness of our misunderstandings, our ignorance, and to guide us in the best way that we should live. I openly bear witness and testify that there is nothing or no one worthy of worship except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Allah alone. He has no partners, no associates. Also bear witness that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the slave, servant, and messenger. And today, my dear brothers and sisters, just want to give a brief reminder, and I apologize in advance if you have heard me speak on this topic before, but I think it's a topic that bears reminder. It's something that we can always be mindful of, and inshallah, any khutbah that you hear is really, hopefully, just reminding you of things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just wants to reiterate and make resonate within you. And so today's topic is just about time and how precious time is. coming from Surah Wal-Asr. Innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihati wa tawassaw bil haqq wa tawassaw bis sabr. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears an oath by the token of time through the ages. Time, this thing that's immutable, we can't change it, that we're all subject to it. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists outside of time. From the moment we are born, the clock starts ticking, the sands start pouring, to know that one day that will be the last breath that we take. And we don't know when that last breath is, but we know that it's coming. And so from the beginning of time to the end of the time, this is something that has been happening. So Allah swears this oath on time, just reminding us that this is one of those unchanging principles. And he reminds us that, well, also, innal insana lafi khusr, that mankind, he didn't just say the believer, didn't just say the disbeliever, he said all of mankind, innal insana lafi khusr, is in this state of loss. All of mankind is in the state of losing something, that they are not whole, they're missing something. All of mankind is in this situation. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to be in a state of loss. Nobody wants to just feel like you're in a not whole, feeling incomplete. You run around all day, it feels like you're missing something. I know if any of you have been injured, you know, if you injured in your leg and you can't do the things that you mean to do, it just feels off. It just feels confining. It feels constraining. It's a constant reminder that Allah's placed, that you're meant to be whole. So you have this nagging feeling that you're not all there, you're not all right. And it just always presses on you, just that time that, you know, there's something you need to do to correct that situation. That's that conscience that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given so many of us. And some people can ignore their conscience, but he's given us this conscience, this nagging feeling that you're missing something, that you're incomplete. That verily all of mankind is in this situation, except those who do these four things. And we'll take each one at a time. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says khusr is loss. And he says, illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihati. Except for those, everybody's in loss, except for those who have faith, who have that amana, that trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and salihati. And they put that faith into action. They put that faith into their righteous deeds and the good deeds that they do. And this is kind of so important, my dear brothers and sisters. The last time I was able to be blessed before you, I was talking a little bit about how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used the analogy of the bee to speak to us in troubled times and to speak to us about how we should act as a community. That when we look at the bee and the way the bee operates, that every bee has its own role and its own function. Every bee innately contributes back to the whole. And what they give back to the whole, what they give back to the hive, not only benefits everybody in the hive, but it benefits us as human beings. Everybody outside of the hive as well can benefit from the work of the bee. The flowers get pollinated and they can bloom and they can grow from the work of the bee. We can put honey in our coffee or on our bread or in our baking dish, and we can consume the work of this bee without damaging the bee at all, without interacting, without harming the bee at all. And when the bee goes out and gets the pollen from the flowers, it doesn't destroy the flower. When it goes out into the communities that it interacts in, it doesn't destroy those communities. It just enhances and enriches those communities. And like I said before, and when you see what the bee does, and when it goes out and if it's getting pollen from a lot of blue flowers and there are a lot of blue flowers around it, then the honey takes on a blue hue. That because of the community they work in, the work that they do, the production of their work and their efforts is reflected in the communities that they find themselves in, and reflecting in what they produce. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking us in this beautiful ayat, if we want to be whole, if we want to get out of this state of loss, if we want to get out of the red and get into the black, that we have to make sure that what we believe is evidence in what we produce. It's evident in our deeds. It's evident in our actions. It's evident in the way that we carry ourselves and work throughout the world. That inherent to the word salihati is not just righteous deeds, but it also has within it the idea of the concept and its meaning to be made whole. That just the act of working, doing righteous deeds is something that can fill you up, can make you complete. In Islam, we have Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that marriage is half the deen. That marriage, that finding your mate, finding your spouse is something that makes your worship in this religion complete. And you know how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, another way he uses salihati, it's not just to be whole, it's not just righteous deeds, but Allah uses salihati as a righteous woman as well. So my dear brothers, another way that you could be made whole is to go out and find you a halal spouse. And in that marriage, in that joining, you could be made whole. In that joining, it can be, that's your righteous deeds. And righteous deeds are the things that make the difference on the day of Yom Kippur, the difference between going to hell or heaven. So again, brothers and sisters, we have this obligation to be helpers to each other, and not only helpers to each other, but helpers to this community, to allow our belief and our understanding to be something that is expressed throughout our actions. And so again, I just want to reiterate that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that belief and righteous deeds always go hand in hand over and over again. That this religion doesn't require us to do all these many things. It's not very complicated. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this beautiful ayat, this beautiful surah, that this surah was so important that the companions wouldn't leave each other's company, the parents of Prophet Muhammad, without saying this particular surah, just because it was such an important reminder. These four little things, just there's another hadith that says that this is like 1/3 of the Quran. 1/3 of the Quran is just talking about these simple things, not how far you roll your pants leg up, or if you use a mishwak on your teeth, or how many extra sunnahs you pray. Just these four things. And I know I'm only focused on two of them. I'll get to the other two in a second, inshallah. But just how simple this is. But it's simple, but it requires effort. It's simple, but it requires work. It's simple, but it's something we have to spend our whole lives doing. Because when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks us to reflect on the token of time through the ages, you can't expect our children to have this attitude of this idea of faith and work to see if we don't exemplify it for them, if we don't teach it to them, if they don't see it from us. And if we don't start focusing on it, making sure they have this concept from a little child, so that when they're older, they can still be contributing members of society. If we don't focus on them then and put that effort into them then, we can't expect for them to overnight just become the Muslims, the exemplifying the excellence that we want to see. And just for us, it's a struggle. Not every day do you wake up wanting to be nice to everybody that you see. Not every day do you wake up wanting to have a smile on your face. It takes effort. It takes work. Not every day do you want to struggle. But if you do struggle, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has such a beautiful reward for you. And the more that you struggle in this, the more that you struggle, the more you are rewarded for the efforts. Just like with learning the Arabiya that this beautiful Quran was translated into for us. That the more we struggle with it, the more Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards us for it. The more effort we put into it, even if it means that when we take this book off the shelf after Ramadan and we only get through one line and we're struggling with that one line, do you know we get so many benefits and blessings than somebody who it's easy for them to read a page or a whole page or a whole chapter or a whole juice. Just that effort gets rewarded. And I don't know about you, my dear brothers and sisters, but with the time that I have, because I don't know how little time or how much time I have. I want to maximize the time that I have. I want to get the most bang for my buck. I want to, because I don't know when the day of Yom Kippur or when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to call me home. Not too many weeks ago, actually, about 3 weeks ago, is the anniversary of my sister's passing. And she passed away when she was 30 of colon cancer. That, you know, in an African-American community, cancer, the screenings happen a little earlier than they are for Caucasian Americans. But it's just like with Chadwick Boseman, at the age in which she was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, no one would have been even checking for that. So again, you never know when your time is coming. You never know when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to say the sands have run dry and this is going to be your last breath in this life. So we want to get the most benefit, most reward that we can by doing all that we can to stay out of this state of loss and get into this state of being whole, being made complete, and putting our faith in the ladina amanu wa amilu salihati, put our faith and our good deeds into work. And with that, we'll close the first half of my Jumu'ah Khutbah, and my dear brothers and sisters, then we'll come back here in the second, for the second half. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. Our Lord, give us a good and most excellent in this life, and good and most excellent in the next, and save us from the torment of the hellfire. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the third ayat, he goes on to say, إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَصَّوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَصَّوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. And join together in the mutual teaching of truth, and join together in the mutual teaching of faith and constancy, the patience and constancy, excuse me. And those two things, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala focuses on getting out of this state of loss. First, you have to work internally, your internal motivation. First, you have to have faith. First, you have to let your faith act through you in those righteous deeds. And then you have to go out into the community. Then you can't let that goodness, you can't keep all that goodness to yourself. Once you get yourself right, once you have the right mindset, and once you have the right work ethic and work spirit, you can't just stay at home and just do for yourself. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is encouraging us to get with other people. Join together in the mutual teaching of truth. Join together in the mutual teaching of faith and constancy. Work with other people, because so much of this beautiful religion is about working with others. So much of this beautiful religion means that we have to interact with each other. You have to, the family is the smallest unit of the community, but that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one of the unique things about marriage is marriage forces you to have to interact with someone else. It forces you, and inshallah, if you are blessed with children, then you are blessed with interacting with multiple different personalities, multiple young minds, where you have to grow, and it builds your capacities, it builds your patience, it builds your understanding, your tolerance, it builds your work ethic. It helps you to have to go out there and hustle more, to work harder, so that you can provide not only for yourself, but for the other mouths that you have a responsibility for. And we don't have a responsibility just for our community, just for our family. But I'm a parent, like many of you are parents, and I need people for my children to play with. I need, I need programs for them to interact with. I need my children to be able to be social and to be in environments that keep them safe and healthy. They don't want to stay under me 24/7. They want to have people their own age. And so I have to make sure that there is a community, there are friends and playmates that I approve of who have like minds, and that takes work. It doesn't just happen overnight. That's not something you can just leave to chance, because these are responsibilities that have been put upon you. There's a beautiful, over and over and over again, and I'm going to diatribe for a second. The Quran talks about the responsibilities of a parent to the child, and the child to the parent. You can't even, in the Quran, there's an ayat that says, as a children, we can't even say "oh" to our parents. We shouldn't say a bad word or degrade them in any way, because of all of the efforts, all of the pains that it takes to be a parent, to bring up a child. For a mother who has to carry that baby in her stomach for 9 months, and then wean it, raise it, feed it, when you couldn't wipe your butt on your own. All of those things are reasons we should respect our parents. But there's hadiths and stories of the companions of the Prophet where there was a young man, a father, who came and said that his son was being disrespectful. He was being disrespectful, and he wanted the Prophet to scold him and chastise. I'm sorry, this is Umar. Wanted Umar ibn Allah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with him, to scold him. And the conversation, and I'm going to summarize it quickly. When Omar asked the young man, "Why are you so disrespectful to his dad?" he says, "He does nothing for me." He said, "Did he give you a good name?" He said, "No, he didn't give me a good name. He gave me a name of something that has no meaning, no value, no worth. It has a negative outcome." "Did he give you a good parent?" "No, he didn't even give me a good mother in the way that wet nurses and things at the time." "Did he teach you at all?" And he said, "He taught me nothing." And because that father was so negligent, he said, "What you've done to cancel out, he doesn't have to respect you in that way, because you haven't been fulfilling the role of parent for him. You haven't been acting in the role. You haven't been letting your deeds and your actions exemplify through your work and your efforts. So you can't hold a title that you don't work for. You can't be honored for a title that doesn't come from your person, doesn't come through your expression, doesn't come from what you do." And so when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking us to work in this mutual enjoining of truth, it's us talking. And one of the ways that we can do that is just sharing our stories. It's just being there. We're sharing the truth of our reality, the truth of our experience, the truth of what's going on with us, and making that real, making that understandable. In this masjid, we have a couple of programs. We have the Sisters Halakha that meets every second and fourth Saturday of the month, where sisters are coming together to study this religion and sharing what they experience, what they have learned from their own perspective, so that they can build and share their own truth and share their own understanding of this beautiful religion, so they can strengthen each other. The brothers have the Free Men of the City. We have the Brothers Halakha, which has kind of fallen off for a little bit now, but we're trying to bring that back. We have these beautiful programs where we get to come together and share. I don't know if any of you have ever had to go through this, but if you've ever been into had an addicted an addiction, there's Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous. And again, these are support groups where people share their truth, share their reality, share the struggles that they're going through, because they know that in sharing of those struggles, if they can help, if they can show how they overcame their difficulties, then you can be inspired and know that you can overcome your difficulties too. That if you've gone through, you may feel like you've gone through the worst thing ever, but you're keeping it inside. But you go to this support group and you hear someone who's going through something you feel like is so much worse than you, and they're out there the other side, and they're still able to smile, and they're still able to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they're still able to give in zakat, even though they are down to their last penny, because they know they have a feeling, they have the certainty, they have that trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah will bring them, that He brought them out of the difficult situation that they found themselves in before, brought them to here now, that they weren't as worse off as they used to be, that Allah's forgiven them or can forgive them for their sins of the past, that only what counts is what they do in the future. Because, wallahi, another hadith that says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if you brought me, through a hadith, if you brought sins as high as the mountains with sincere repentance in your heart, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive you. And there's so many of us who have done things that we don't like, things that we wish we could avoid, things that we wish that we could forget, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had the ability to erase all those things in the past based on what you do going forward. But you have to put in the work and the effort. You have to first work on yourself and then allow that effort not to just stay contained to you, but to share it. Make sure that work is evident in the community that you find yourself in, that you that you join in a mutual teaching of truth. Again, whether that be through a support group, whether that be through coaching or sharing your business knowledge or sharing your other acumen, just sharing the truth of your experience and what you know so that other people can benefit. Because that's one of the beautiful things that continue to accrue benefits for you even after your death is the knowledge, the beneficial knowledge that you share. And also join together in the patience and constancy. Again, as I said, in those support groups, it just helps you to know that if somebody else had a similar struggle, if they got through it, you can get through it. If they can make it, then you can make it. That you're not alone. And sometimes it's just helpful to know that you are not alone. That you aren't the only one who's gone through X, Y, or Z. You aren't the only one who's gone through these trials and tribulations. You're not the only one, because when we see each other, sometimes we just don't know, just because we have a smile on our face, as the song says, it's only there to fool the public. That we don't know the internal pain that other people are going through, but sometimes when they let us in, when they have that ability to share, it can inspire us. It can give us that faith. It can give us that hope. It will give us the confidence we need to continue forward. So as we conclude, my dear brothers and sisters, I pray that I have said something that reminded you any mistakes I made in this Khutbah amount alone, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is free from error. And this religion is a religion that is for the whole person, for every aspect of you, for the whole community. It's a beautiful manual for the way we should live our lives. And I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides us, protects us, nurtures us, and evolves us to be the best human beings that we can be. Oh Allah, we cannot manage this life ourselves without you. Please break of our lives what you want it to be, what you prefer it to be. Do not allow us to act on our own, but bless us to act only in obedience and according to your will. Help us to be of those who hear and obey. Forgive us. We're asking your forgiveness and to use return. Akim Salat.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya ala salat, hayya ala falah. Qamati salat, qamati salat. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.
La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. My dear brothers, for all of you who are in that last row, we truly try to keep the brothers in front of that second door so that the sisters can have their space. Even if you come in late, we want to make sure we give our sisters the respect and the spacing that we can. So appreciate it. Please keep that in mind, even if we don't tell you that that second door is the line that we're trying to respect. Allahu Akbar. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. والتين والزيتون وطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون فما يكذبك بعد بالدين أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفره إنه كان توابا الله أكبر الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. Assalamu alaikum. Just a few brief announcements. As always, give generously in Zakat. We continue to have our Talim online, 1:30 on Sundays, so please take part in that. Again, that's 1:30 on our Facebook page or YouTube page. We are getting ready for Eid al-Adha, and inshallah, I believe we will be offering iftar the first 9 days of Dhul Hijjah. So if you, so please plan on coming out and fellowshipping with the believers during those first 10 days. It is the practice of the companions of the Prophet to fast during those first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. So we'll be having iftar the first 9 days. Eid al-Adha will be on the 10th day. Any other announcements?
Assalamu alaikum. Want to please ask everyone to be generous in your Zakat and donations. And please take advantage of the many ways that we have of you fulfilling the obligation of Zakat, and in your willingness to help us maintain the masjid by you can sign up and have a direct debit out of your bank account with myself or Imam Farouk, or you can write a check, or you can Cash App or PayPal, and all of that information is outside on the bulletin board. But we ask that you please be generous in your donations and helping us to maintain the masjid. And also, if you want to help us make the AHA very special for our youth, and you want to try to provide gifts and activities for them, then you can see myself or Imam Farouk or Imam Ahmed and donate. We're asking 50 families to please donate $50 each, and that will help go a long way in helping us provide a very special AHA for our youth. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum. Please stay tuned for the community announcements. Please join us every Friday at 1:30 for our virtual Khutbah live stream on our Facebook page, YouTube. Also, the in-person Juma is available at 1:30. Masks are recommended. Become one of the 100 believers to commit to $50 per month. Just scan the QR code or go to tinyurl/WDM 100-450. Also, in-person Juma is available at Mercy Community Center, Masjid Al-Quran, Khutbah at 1:30 and at 2:30. Masks are recommended. Become one of the merciful 313 at Mercy Community Center, Masjid Al-Quran. You can snap the QR code and donate. Talim/public address every Sunday at 1:30. It's live streamed on our Facebook page and our YouTube page. Your Zakat and donations are needed. Ways to donate: go to www.masjidwdm.com or do Zelle or PayPal or our CashApp. Mercy Community Center, Masjid Al-Quran. Your donations and Zakat are needed. Go to www.mercycc.org/donations. Muslima Nights. You can email sisters only, and it's from ages 13 to 18 and ages 18 to 30. New Muslim orientation classes. If you want to attend, please email Elijah at masjidwdm.com for more information. Sisters Halakha every second and fourth Saturday from 7:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. Women only. You can the Imala Kamaluddin Community Center fundraiser donor wall. You can donate and get your name on the wall. Go to tinyurl.com/MWDM donor wall. That concludes the community announcements. Assalamu alaikum.